former Culture Secretary Nadine Dorries is with us now. Nadine, a very warm welcome to the brand spanking new Independent Republic of Mike Graham here at the nighttime hour. I'm tempted to say the plot thickens, Nadine.
Well, you would, Mike. It does. Well, it doesn't really, does it? Because this is like Brexit all over again. It's like the 2016 and 2017 and 2018 votes where Parliament was completely on a different course to what the people in the country wanted and what they wanted Parliament to do. And we're there again and with the same people, actually. So, but I think that was a really good summary that Peter's just given as to what's happening. The bill will pass tomorrow night. I've been here so many times when it's high drama for 24 hours, and how many times are the public march to the top of the hill and then they're let down again just when it gets to the crucial vote. So I'm very sure that MPs will vote tomorrow night. The bill will pass. There will be abstentions. There will be the few brave souls who have nothing to lose. They know they're probably going to lose their seats, and so they will vote against or vote for the amendments that they want to pass. But what will be happening right now is that the whips will furiously be ringing around MPs to find out what those who abstained or voted with the amendments tonight, they'll be furiously ringing them, and they will be at first cajoling them and trying to explain to them that it would be foolhardy to jettison the bill completely, and that if they did that on Thursday morning, there would be no Rwanda Bill, no plan, no strategy, and that the party would be in no different a place to Labour. And that's what will be happening now. And tomorrow, in the last few hours before the vote takes place, the tactics will become hardcore. MPs will start to be told they will be given no assistance during the general election, that they will be on their own from there on, that they're very close to losing the whip, that their association chairman may be getting a phone call. And that won't happen until probably 4, 5, 6 p.m. tomorrow evening. And what will happen is that those MPs will either be cajoled or they will either be threatened into just abstaining or letting the bill pass. I think you'll be sat there tomorrow night, if you're on tomorrow, Mike.
Yes.
And what you'll be saying is, well, there it is. The Rwanda Bill has passed and we haven't got the concessions. And what a useless piece of legislation it is, because it will do nothing to deter people or stop those illegal immigrants from arriving on our shores and us having the power to do what we wanted to do with Brexit, which was to deport those people to Rwanda.
Yeah, exactly right. And in fact, I won't even wait until tomorrow night to say that, because I'll say it tonight, because it's obviously the case that this is not going to make any difference. They're fighting over, a comb as if they were two bald men. It's the same old story. Nobody really believes in the Rwanda. Nobody really thinks it will happen because they haven't done it right. I believed in it when it started. When Boris Johnson suggested it, I thought it might work. But clearly they haven't got the capabilities to make it work. But so Rishi Sunak survives. I don't know what the whips can offer. I mean, you say they can suggest that they won't help anybody trying to get re-elected, but I'm not sure that's going to be enough for them anyway. I mean, is this the beginning of the end of Rishi Sunak?
Well, yeah, it could be. It was interesting today that Boris Johnson has made it known that he backs the rebels and that that's the way, if he was still an MP in Parliament, he would be voting with them. It's, the Rwanda, the most interesting thing, Mike, and I've said this so many times, is that for the entire 3 years that Rishi Sunak was Chancellor, he was totally opposed to the Rwanda legislation and the Rwanda plan. He could not have been more opposed. And it is very difficult when you're a cabinet given right round and collective responsibility to get any policy that's major, which is not in the manifesto, or actually which is in the manifesto to a point, through unless you have the collective responsibility and the right round approval of everybody who sat around that cabinet table. And so often as Chancellor, Rishi was the person who blocked, and he blocked us making progress, certainly stopped Boris Johnson making the progress that he wanted to on Rwanda. The moment he became Prime Minister, almost overnight, it became the only shot in his locker. It became the policy that he wanted to get through. And of course, what Rishi Sunak was doing over those 3 years was, by blocking it, was making sure that Boris Johnson didn't deliver what he wanted to, didn't get the credit as Prime Minister for delivering that policy, because he knew what he was doing and what he was plotting and planning, which was to remove Boris Johnson and put himself in place. And he was waiting for that moment so that he could run with Rwanda. And I'm afraid, karma can be terribly mean sometimes.
You
And I
can
think
say it.
what's
It's
happening
after
really
9 o'clock.
is
You can
that,
say it.
okay, calm as a bitch. That's exactly what it is. And I think he's getting his comeuppance right now. And I think this could be, that polling that came out on, was it Sunday night, when it was
Yeah.
released on Sunday night? The spinning against that polling started on very early on Monday morning, which is when MPs' phones started ringing. And you heard the comments by the Conservative Party polling and strategist guru, who's a great man, Isaac Levido, and what he was saying to them was, oh, this is all nonsense, and these are people who are trying to force you to destroy the party. I'm afraid it's just spin. That polling actually was based on, I think the headline figure was that that's what the polling would be like if Labour had a 12-point lead. They've got a 20-point lead, and it's likely to increase. So the figures that polling produced are likely to be a lot worse. So, what have MPs got to lose now? I would say to MPs, I know you've got Jonathan Gullis, who's also a great man. I bet he voted against this. What I would say to those MPs is, the polling is dire. It's absolutely dire. We know from the polling that the public want you to get those amendments through. The public want you to stop illegal immigrants coming to our shores. So what you need to do is vote for those amendments. And if it comes to the amendments not being tabled or not being there, don't support the bill, because that is the best way that you can support your constituents and show your constituents that they're on your side. And that's going to be the best thing to help you when you're seated at a general election. If you don't get those amendments through, if this Rwanda Bill just passes tomorrow night in the useless form that it is, where it will achieve nothing other than become a lawyer's charter and allow lawyers to increase in numbers and increase their bills and their earnings. If you do that by allowing this bill to pass tomorrow night, then I'm afraid you're letting your constituents down, and that is not the way to win your seat at the next general election.
Yeah, and all will then be lost. So say, for example, they do what you suggest and they do knock the bill back, and Rishi Sunak is left looking pretty powerless and pretty useless in the position of Prime Minister. Who's your money on to be the next leader of the Tory party?
Well, those who worked on, I'll just kind of put this out there that if you've read my book, The Plot, and if you watch the Laura Kuenssberg interview, you will know that Dominic Cummings admitted on television that they started plotting to remove Boris Johnson on the day he won the 2019 general election, or the day after, actually. So you will know that there are a group of people inside the Conservative Party who more or less plan where the future of the party is going and who's going to lead it. It's no coincidence that David Cameron has suddenly been popped into the Lords. No coincidence whatsoever. It's no coincidence that you saw newspaper headlines on Sunday say David Cameron and Biden are going to attack the Houthis, not Sunak and Biden, or that you saw Starmer and David Cameron on the Laura Kuenssberg show on the BBC on Sunday morning. I would say that the powers that be, the Tory grandees, they think there won't be an MP with the ability, or an MP that they want. They certainly won't want a right-winger. I believe that they think that there won't be an MP worth leading the Conservative Party from within the Commons, and therefore they're probably planning to do it from within the Lords. So I would say that those who have been doing a lot of the mischief making, they want Kemi Badenoch, that's quite clear. And Kemi Badenoch, played a role in the downfall of Boris Johnson. I don't think she's going to be as popular with the membership of the Conservative Party as she and those who've been working her think that she is. Michael Gove desperately wants it, but he's an MP who's never been allowed to hold high office, and he has never been offered high office, and it certainly won't be Michael Gove. And there's James Cleverly, who's been doing very well in the polls, but of course, the minute he started to do very well in the polls, there were all these negative briefings about him, because he's not the person that, again, the grandees who run the Conservative Party want. So I think something strange will happen after a general election. If we lose very badly, if Boris Johnson isn't in a seat, if he isn't around, and when I mentioned Boris Johnson, I'm talking about the only Conservative MP ever to win 2 mayoral elections in London and to win the Conservatives a bigger percentage of the vote share than Tony Blair did. If he isn't in a seat and he is around, then I think you'll see those kind of movers and shakers, the fixers and plotters, the people who've been running the Conservative Party for decades, most of them faceless and nameless, that most people don't know who they are. I think they will be trying to work something that hasn't been done for a very long time, and that's put the next leader of the Conservative Party in from the House of Lords, not from the Commons. And of course, being in opposition, that would be easier. And it has happened before.
Wow. OK, Nadine Dorries, thank you very much indeed, telling us there precisely what she thinks is going to happen when Sunak inevitably loses, whether he loses control of the party, whether he loses control of the country.